Have you ever stopped to think that your brain might be silently getting destroyed by something on your plate? We're not talking about cigarettes, alcohol, or pollution, but about common foods that many seniors eat every day thinking they're safe, when in fact they may accelerate memory loss, cause mental confusion, and even increase the risk of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. And this is not an exaggeration. According to the Alzheimer's Association, 1 in every 3 people over the age of 65 in the United States dies with some form of dementia. That's more than double the number of deaths caused by breast and prostate cancer combined. And the worst part, some of this damage could be avoided simply by making better choices at the table. But don't worry, not all is lost. The truth is, there's knowledge that's rarely shared even among doctors about certain foods that sabotage your brain health. And once you understand what's behind it, you can protect your memories, keep your mind sharp, and preserve the independence you value so much. In this video, you're going to discover the 7 forbidden foods for your brain based on real scientific evidence. But pay attention, they're not the obvious foods. Some of them are even sold as healthy, but hide traps that directly affect your cognition, energy, and even your mood. And most surprising, one of these foods is probably in your fridge right now, and may look harmless, but if you're over 50, it could be silently accelerating brain degeneration. So stay with me until the end, because the last item on this list is the most deceptive of them all. It seems innocent, but is linked to inflammatory changes in the brain, especially in older adults. And before we begin, if you value this kind of information and want to see more content like this, subscribe to the channel. You'll help bring quality knowledge to people who don't have easy access to books, doctors, or scientific articles, and you'll be helping your own health too. Because here, every video is a chance to live better. Let's go. Food 1. The whole wheat bread that isn't whole at all. It's common to see people over 50 trying to eat better and switching from industrial white slice bread to whole wheat. And in theory, that would be an excellent choice. But here's a detail most people overlook, and it could be sabotaging your brain every day without you realizing it. Most of the whole wheat breads sold in supermarkets aren't truly whole. What happens is that the food industry has learned how to play with words. Many times the label screams 100% whole wheat, but when you flip it over and read the ingredients list, what's listed first? Enriched wheat flour with iron and folic acid, in other words, refined white flour? The logic is simple. By law, ingredients are listed in order of quantity. If the first item on the list isn't whole wheat flour, then the bread isn't truly whole, no matter how dark it looks or how convincing the label is. Why does the industry do this? Because it's cheaper. Refined flour has a longer shelf life, lower cost, and gives a softer texture that pleases the palate. But the price you pay for this isn't financial, it's your brain health. Breads made with refined flours have a high glycemic index. They cause blood sugar spikes followed by sharp drops, and this constant up and down contributes to silent inflammation in the body, including the brain. This can affect mental clarity, increase the risk of brain insulin resistance, a factor linked to Alzheimer's, and cause that constant mental fatigue that many people already think is normal with age. Moreover, these breads usually contain cheap vegetable oils, preservatives, stabilizers, and even caramel coloring used to give the appearance of a healthy product. But as you already know, appearance doesn't protect neurons. Want to get it right? First tip, always read the label. The first ingredient should be whole wheat flour without the word enriched or refined. Also, avoid products with long, hard-to-pronounce names or lists with more than 5 ingredients that usually indicates ultra-processing. If you want total control, an even better alternative is to bake your own bread at home with just a few ingredients: real whole wheat flour, biological yeast, water, salt, and a bit of olive oil. You can even add seeds like chia or flaxseed to boost the benefits. And if you think that's too much work, remember, the effort you make today can prevent a brain issue in the future. Because if you continue eating these falsely healthy breads every day, you'll slowly feed an inflammatory process that wears down your cognitive functions. And before you know it, your memory won't respond like it used to. Your thoughts take longer to form, and simple tasks become a challenge. And that's just the beginning. The next food may seem even more innocent, but it hides a danger that many doctors have been warning about for years, and almost no one takes seriously. Food 2. Margarine, the enemy that pretends to be a friend. There it is, quietly sitting in the fridge door. It's convenient, doesn't spoil easily, doesn't need to be melted, and for a long time it was sold as a healthier option than butter. But the truth is that margarine is one of the most deceptive products for the brain, and few people know it. The problem lies in how it's made. Margarine is an ultra-processed product derived from refined vegetable oils like soybean or corn oil to make these oils solid at room temperature. They go through a process called hydrogenation, which creates the infamous trans fats. These fats are officially recognized as toxic to the brain because they increase systemic inflammation, impair communication between neurons, and accelerate the hardening of arteries, including those that supply your brain. In 2015, the FDA U.S. Food and Drug Administration declared that trans fats are not safe for human consumption and ordered their removal from industrialized foods. But be careful. That doesn't mean margarine is no longer a problem. Many brands still contain interesterified fats, a chemical substitute that doesn't appear as trans fat on the label, but which, according to studies published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, can cause the same inflammatory effects on the brain. And remember that old claim that margarine helps the heart? More recent studies show the opposite. These unstable fats increase the risk of stroke and are associated with a faster decline in cognitive function, especially in older adults. Want a real alternative? Use real butter in small amounts, especially ghee butter, which is purified and rich in butyrate, a fatty acid that helps reduce inflammation. Another great option is small portions of extra virgin olive oil, added after cooking, not for frying. If margarine is still part of your routine, it's time to rethink that. Because, over the years, consuming these oxidized artificial fats can literally shrink your brain, affect long-term memory, and increase the risk of degenerative diseases. And if you thought margarine was bad, food number 3 might be even more common in the routine of those trying to eat healthy, but it's a trap disguised as health. Food 3. Industrialized cereal bars. If there's one product that seems tailor-made for those who want to age healthily, it's the famous cereal bars. They fit in your pocket, are easy to carry, and have that healthy snack appeal with fiber, dried fruits, grains. Sounds perfect, right? But not everything that looks healthy actually is. Most cereal bars sold in the United States are, in practice, a mix of disguised sugar, bad oils, and additives. The first problem is the excess of glucose syrup, high fructose corn syrup, inverted sugar, and other names that represent a very high load of simple sugar. This type of sugar fuels chronic inflammation in the brain, especially in the hippocampus, the region responsible for forming new memories. And there's more. Many bars use refined vegetable oils and are heated at high temperatures, which generates advanced glycation end products, AGEs, compounds that speed up cellular aging and are linked to early cognitive decline. In a study published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease, researchers observed that diets rich in ultra-processed high glycemic products are associated with reduced brain volume in areas critical for memory and language. Now imagine that being consumed as a healthy snack every day. The brain, which needs stable energy and real nutrients, ends up being bombarded with fast-absorbing sugar, insulin spikes, and inflammation. The result? Mental fatigue, memory lapses, and over the years, a mind that loses sharpness and speed. So what should you do? If you want a truly beneficial alternative for your brain, go for nuts, fresh fruits with a handful of seeds, or even a homemade bar made with oats, pure honey, and natural peanut butter. No oils or artificial sweeteners. No need to complicate it. A simple recipe you make yourself is worth more than a colorful package promising what it can't deliver. Because if you keep falling for these marketing traps, what's at stake isn't just your snack, it's your memory, your energy, and your independence. And if you've tried everything to improve your memory and nothing has worked, don't worry, because food number 4 brings a twist that could change that completely. Food for ready-made broths and industrialized seasonings. Have you noticed how certain homemade foods have lost their natural flavor and now rely on cubes, sachets, and magic powders to taste good? That's right, convenience won and the brain lost. Ready-made broths, industrial seasonings, and powdered mixes, like those famous chicken or beef cubes, are true cocktails of monosodium glutamate, colorants, preservatives, and synthetic flavor enhancers. The biggest villain here is monosodium glutamate, MSG, an additive that, in excess, acts as a neuroexcitatory agent. In other words, it overstimulates neurons to the point of wearing them out. The technical term for this is excitotoxicity. This means that, over time, the recurring use of these seasonings can contribute to the progressive degeneration of brain regions, especially in more sensitive individuals, like seniors. Studies published in the Journal of Headache Pain have already linked MSG to increased headaches, mental confusion, fatigue, and even episodes of anxiety. Additionally, these products almost always contain excessive sodium, which impairs cerebral circulation and can directly affect oxygen delivery to neurons. In other words, a recipe made in a hurry could come at a high cost to your brain function. But there's a solution. You can use fresh herbs, garlic, onion, turmeric, and black pepper to enhance the flavor of your food without poisoning your brain. And if you want an example of a simple, tasty, and highly brain-protective recipe, there's a suggestion in the pinned comments. It's a video that teaches a medicinal salmon recipe combining natural ingredients, studied by science for their positive impact on memory and the reduction of brain inflammation, especially in those over 50. And the best part? You probably already have the main ingredients in your fridge. This recipe has helped many people who follow the channel understand how small adjustments can lead to big results for the brain. It's definitely worth checking out after this video. The link is in the comments. But now, get ready. Food 5 may seem like something allowed, even therapeutic, but if used incorrectly, it accelerates brain aging more than most people imagine. Food 5. Teas with pesticide residues. You've probably heard the advice. Have a little tea. It's good for the body and mind. Yes, tea is one of the most traditional and therapeutic drinks that exist. But the truth is, not all tea is good for you, and some may be carrying toxic residues directly into your brain. Most industrialized tea bags, especially from cheap brands with large-scale production, contain leaves sprayed with high loads of pesticides and herbicides, many of which are neurotoxic. That's because, unlike fruits or vegetables that you can wash, tea is made by directly infusing the leaf, and those residues go straight into your cup. In a study published in Food Research International, it was found that some samples of popular teas in the United States contained residues of up to 20 different pesticides, some of which are banned in several countries due to links to neurological diseases and hormonal dysfunctions. The brain, especially after age 50, becomes more vulnerable to these compounds, which can affect mitochondrial function in neurons, generate oxidative stress, and compromise memory and mental clarity over time. But that doesn't mean you should stop drinking tea, quite the opposite. The key is to avoid ready-made bags and opt for certified organic loose-leaf teas. Teas like chamomile, peppermint, sage, rosemary, or green tea are excellent for the brain when grown cleanly. And if you want to go a step further, you can grow your own herbs in pots. It's simple, therapeutic, and ensures the purity of what you consume. Make no mistake, tea can be your ally or your invisible enemy. It all depends on the source. And if you found this revelation surprising, wait for the next food, because it's almost a symbol of a healthy lifestyle, but it contains something that literally speeds up brain shrinkage over time. Food 6. Fitness yogurts with hidden sugar. You've probably seen those yogurts marketed as fat-free, high in protein, with probiotics, and perfect for breakfast or an afternoon snack. Sounds like the right choice, right? But here's the problem. Most of these products are far from brain-friendly. The industry knows people are looking for health, and that's why it invests heavily in marketing that looks healthy. Even when the contents are problematic, these industrialized yogurts, especially the fruit-flavored ones, often contain large amounts of added sugars, artificial sweeteners, and chemical thickeners. And what's the impact on your brain? Let's break it down. 1. Excess simple sugar has been linked to shrinkage of the hippocampus, the brain region tied to memory and learning. Studies from the University of California showed that high glycemic diets reduce neural connectivity and affect short-term memory. 2. Artificial sweeteners, like aspartame or sucralose, though low in calories, alter the gut microbiota, which directly impacts the brain via the gut-brain axis. In other words, the food meant to nourish you ends up disrupting the very systems that support thinking, focus, and mood. 3. And, as if that weren't enough, many of these products are packed with thickeners like carrageenan and xanthan gum, which increase intestinal inflammation. In older adults, this can contribute to that constant feeling of mental fatigue. If you really want to include yogurt in your routine, Go for full-fat plain yogurt with no added sugars, preferably made with high-quality milk and live cultures. You can boost its benefits by adding chia seeds, turmeric, or organic berries, creating a true superfood for the mind. Remember, not every fit food takes care of you. Sometimes it just wears a pretty label and hides a sweet poison that slowly dims your clarity. And speaking of disguised poison, the final food on this list is the most deceptive of all. It looks harmless. In fact, you probably have it at home right now. But if consumed the wrong way, it may be slowly undermining your brain health. Food 7. Frozen vegetables in ready-made meals, peas, carrots, corn, all chopped up, mixed together, and packaged to look healthy. It says no preservatives, high in fiber, and even 100% natural vegetables. But is it really? These frozen veggies, when included in ready-made meals like pizzas, lasagnas, bowls, and frozen side dishes, carry a problem that few notice. The issue isn't the vegetable itself, it's the industrial context in which it appears. During the ultra-freezing process and prolonged storage, many of these foods lose a significant portion of their natural antioxidants like vitamin C, polyphenols, and sulfur compounds. But worse is what comes along with them: oxidized oils, excess sodium, chemical additives, colorants, and stabilizers used to preserve texture and flavor for months in the freezer. And that silently affects the brain. These additives can trigger inflammatory responses in the gut and in the blood-brain barrier, the brain's natural defense system. Over time, this contributes to increased inflammatory markers in the blood and reduced cognitive function. In a study published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience, frequent consumption of ultra-processed foods was associated with reduced episodic memory and a higher risk of mild depression in older adults. And you know that feeling of always being tired, slow to think, struggling to recall simple names? It may be the result, among other things, of what you thought was eating well. This isn't about demonizing all frozen foods. Some plain frozen vegetables, without additives, can be helpful in emergency situations. But when they come mixed into vegetable pizzas, spinach lasagnas, or grain bowls, your brain does not thank you. The industry does because it sells convenience at a high profit. You pay with clarity. Want to do better? Whenever possible, choose fresh and varied vegetables, steamed or sautéed in olive oil. And if you need to freeze them yourself, in small portions and without pre-made seasonings. Remember, your brain doesn't need magic. It needs consistent choices. Choices that support memory, focus, and independence every single day. And now that you know the 7 forbidden foods for the brain, tell me, which one seems the hardest to eliminate? And if you care about what goes on your plate, wait until you discover what might be entering your body without you even noticing. Some substances found in common medications may be harming your mind even more than any of the foods we covered today. You need to know this to protect your health before the symptoms appear. See you in the next video.